Hello and welcome to Straight Talk for Burnt Out Mums. Today I have got Graham Baker with me. Nice to have you on, Graham.
Nice to have you. Yeah, it's nice to have me here.
Do you want to start again?
Yeah, it's good to be here. Good to be here.
So, Graham, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, I'm a commercial photographer. I'm sort of Kent and Southeast London based. So commercial photography is basically anything to do with business, so any all commercial work. So it's providing photography for small businesses, medium-sized business, entrepreneurs. My little tagline I like to use is, helping people get from behind their business to in front of their brand. But, it's things like headshots, brand photography. I do product work, virtual tours, all sorts of things. I still keep my hand in weddings, but I'm very select on who I work with these days. So yeah, that's me.
So we know each other because you were recommended to me by a friend, and you were the amazing photographer who did all of my stuff for my website, so my brand shoot. And a massive thank you again for what you've done. The feedback I've had has been unreal. So yeah, I came to you, didn't I? And the reason I've got you on today is because of the way I felt beforehand. I was really worried about having my photograph taken. I was really conscious of the way I looked. I had a really bad experience on my wedding day. So for people that don't know, on my wedding day, my wedding dress completely fell apart on the seams of my dress. And it ended up getting stuck together with nail glue, cardboard, hair grips, you name it. We tried anything to stick the dress back together, but it was just not happening. So all of my photographs for my wedding, I really dislike all of them. So for me, I had a major confidence knock when it comes to my photographs. And I told you that straight away, but you made me feel amazing and you made me feel confident. And you put things into place for me, and you gave me different strategies and to help me build up my confidence, ready for my photo shoot. So you also spoke to me on the photo shoot about how we perceive ourselves. So could you just expand on that a little bit for our listeners?
Sure. Well, firstly, thank you for your very kind words. It's as a photographer, I work with a lot of people who are absolutely in fear of having their photograph taken. And as a photographer, it's part of what I like to think that it's really important to actually build a relationship first, to then be able to get the best out of the subject I'm actually photographing. But you hear it all the time: I hate my photograph taken, I hate myself in photos, and it's all this kind of negative sort of feeling about it. But you're a business owner, you want to get out there, you want people to see you. So there's this kind of conflict almost that many people are going through. And, jokingly, I'll say, if I had £1 every time somebody said they had their photograph taken, I wouldn't actually have to pick up a camera anymore.
No, you wouldn't.
Because it's so many people. And, without trying to, not being sexist in any sort of form, but I do find that women tend to be a little bit more nervous than men do. Just purely from experience. I'm not saying that is the right thing or anything like that. That's just what I've
experienced
over the years. And so because of that, I became really, really interested in the psychology of photography. I'm quite big into mindfulness and stuff like that. But what I found was that through research is that there's lots of different factors that affect why people perceive themselves in different ways. And what we spoke about a lot about was the thing called the mere exposure effect. And I know that sounds like but it's a psychological term that basically means that the more we see something, the more familiar we are with that, which is fair to say. And the more familiar we are with something, then we're more likely to grow a preference for it in that form. So quite often our brains are lying to us about our faces, because think about how often you see your own face. You never see it. You never see your own face because you only see it in a reflection or in something like a photograph. And it's fair to say that you're going to see your face in the mirror considerably more than you would on a photograph. So therefore, from a young age, from ever since you started looking into mirrors, your brain, your subconscious brain is kind of hardwired to expect your face to look in a certain way.
Yeah.
So it sees it in that reverse perspective, if you like. So therefore, when people start seeing a photograph, your subconscious brain goes, now I know that's me, but there's something not quite right with it. Conscious brain then starts labeling that as something negative and to stay away from. So over years, we then start to actually believe that what we're seeing is incorrect, whereas in fact, it's your face. It's just the one perception of it.
Yeah.
And there's lots of other sort of similar factors linked to it. Things like, for example, when you're looking at a mirror, you're a lot more likely to be at a certain angle. You're used to the lighting being a certain way. Photograph can be taken anywhere. It could be in, different lighting conditions, different lenses, the way that some people, phone lenses are a classic one because they're actually quite a wide angle lens, which actually can distort the face quite a lot. It can actually make the face look wider, and it can obviously, again, conscious brain's going, oh no, my nose looks big, my chin looks big, and it's all of those little factors that add up to it. And yes, there is the modern world we live in where the standards of beauty are really subjective, and with everybody's bombarded with what's good looking, what's not good looking. But honestly, it's all, our brains are lying to us effectively, and that obviously then leads into other things and self-perception, all the rest of it. And I think that a great example about self-perception is the Real Beauty campaign that Dove did, and I sent you the link.
I'm so glad you did, because I'm so glad I watched that, because that did give me a bit of a mindset shift. It wasn't completely shifted, but it was definitely a mindset shift. It really helped.
Exactly that. Yeah, definitely. And it plants a little seed, doesn't it? Because it makes you think. And for anybody, obviously, anybody who's watching or listening today, is that the real the Dove Real Beauty campaign was about real people and how they perceive themselves and all the rest of it. We all remember the Dove campaigns when we saw normal people modeling and all of this kind of stuff. This is it's a video. It's on YouTube. You can search Real Beauty campaign, or what I tend to put is police sketch artist Dove. And I know people are like, what's that all about? But basically what they do is they had a group of women, strangers, introduced them to each other, then they separated them, brought them into another room where they had this screen up, and behind the screen was one of those kind of police sketch artists, and they had to then describe themselves to the artist. He couldn't see who it was. And then throughout the process, they brought in the people that met them, and they were then asked to describe the person that they met. So they weren't describing themselves. And then the best bit is the reveal. So they put the two pictures up against each other, and then they bring that person back in. And it's the reactions that you see of their faces and the differences between the two images. And, in summary, the images that they described themselves as were far less complimentary.
100%.
How other people perceive them.
Yeah.
So we've already got this perception that we are not as good as other people perceive us. And obviously I'm not a psychologist. I mean, there's a lot more deep-seated reasons why people perhaps don't like the way that they look or the way they feel about themselves. I'm not here to solve
no.
I'm here to sort of point out that actually it's not as bad as we think it is. You know, that video is brilliant. The mere exposure effect kind of explains things from a kind of a scientific perspective. And I just think that, by watching that video, reading up on the mere exposure effect and things like that can help you, as hopefully it did, as you said it did, it helped you to sort of break down some of those fears. And then obviously during the photo shoot, the communication and the talking and enjoyment sort of helps as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of, and I can only go off women, like you said, but a lot of women, and I've done it myself, we're not kind to ourselves, are we? So therefore you get yourself in a position where you are having to have your photograph taken and you're dreading it, because actually like I know I've got a big nose. There's nothing I can do about that. That's on my face. I'm stuck with it. So I've just got to embrace it. But it's hard, isn't it? Because it's right there, and you can't get away from it. So actually, it really did help me with having my photograph taken. And what I would say is, for anybody that is looking for a photographer, then you are the man to go to, because you were amazing beforehand, and you talked to me about my business. We went through the sort of branding that I would like and how what we'd like to achieve from it. You really helped me with sort of looking at where to go for a venue, for instance. And we got an amazing venue, didn't we?
It was amazing.
It was really, really nice. Cliffhanger House in St Leonard's. It was absolutely beautiful. So yeah, we went there. But also on the day, you knew who my ideal client was. So actually we worked around, we took photos to show how I could help my ideal client. And it was just my life generally, but in another house. It was basically exactly what I do, but in another house, one that was a bit tidier than my own. So yeah, it was just the whole feel of the day was very relaxed. It was very calming. You put me at ease. And it was, yeah, it didn't feel like a chore. And I honestly thought I thought it was going to feel like a chore. So yeah, you definitely made me feel at ease. Now, you weren't originally a photographer, were you? You've come into photography. So how did that come about?
Yeah, it's a long and, well, not long, but it is, well, some perceive as quite a sad story. But I'd always been into photography for many years. I was in the Territorial Army, reservist for many years. And I got to travel quite a lot, so I always had my camera with me. You know, I got to travel to the Himalayas and across Europe and various other places, and you know, and it was film cameras. It wasn't digital back then, and so forth. And then I worked in IT, and I worked in all sorts of things. But then I ended up joining the police. So I was a police officer for almost 17 years in the Metropolitan Police, Southeast London. So Southwark, if you really want to know, which is
probably interesting.
Yeah, they used to say in the training school, you know, 2 years at Southwark is equivalent to 5 years anywhere else. It was that kind of borough. It was very busy, but stressful. So I was doing that. I loved it. I really enjoyed the work, and then, but in 2009, December, just before Christmas, unfortunately, my wife and I lost our baby daughter in childbirth, and you know, that's obviously devastated us. You know, had help from various charities and things like that. But one of the things that I kind of that helped me a lot was photography. I found that rediscovering the hobby of photography, taking pictures, was almost like a therapy in itself, and I just loved it. And then just by sheer chance, we met another couple that had lost their baby at the same similar sort of time, and she happened to be a wedding photographer.
Right.
And she said, I understand you enjoy photography. So would you like to come and help me out on a wedding? And I went, sure, yeah, why not? Let's do something. And it was like a light went off inside me, and I thought, this is amazing. You know, I'm doing something that I enjoy. I'm helping other people. I'm with people on a special day, and I think that fed that feeling of enjoyment. So I never wanted to start a business. I never wanted to sort of become a full-time professional photographer, which I am now. I literally all grew organically from that. So I do take a lot of comfort from the fact that out of this, you know, awful thing that could happen to anybody,
of course,
something wonderful came out of it, you know, and I take a lot of comfort that I'm able to help people. And also I don't get spat at as much.
Thank God.
My clients are a lot nicer. I think
just a drunken wedding guest every now and then.
Yeah. I mean, I still do a few weddings, but I don't really push that anymore. I'm mainly focused on the commercial work. So yeah, it was a tough time, but I think photography was a big part of that. I do work with a charity called Strong Men, which is a bereavement charity for men, and I actually sort of, you know, I volunteered to help with that, peer support, telephone support, and things like that. And it, you know, guys don't really talk about their emotions and bottle it up, and it causes all sorts of problems further down the line. And I think perhaps that's why I enjoy the sort of working with clients like yourself, because it enables me to, you know, understand, and that communication, I think, is just so important. You know, it's not just about me turning up, taking a few pictures and saying, there you go. I'm going to give you a disservice if I don't actually understand what those images are going to be used for. And, you know, understanding who your target market is. I mean, this is basic stuff. Everyone should be doing this who wants to start a business. Understand who your audience is.
Yeah.
And I should actually take my own medicine sometimes, because I think my role is quite varied in terms of the work that I cover. You know, for example, yesterday I was working at a printing company. Recently, I've been working with a veterinary
Yeah, I
college.
remember you saying that.
Working with entrepreneurs like yourself, and it's so varied. So it's quite hard to define. I've got lots of different target markets, and I like to work with, and you know, I need to, perhaps in my own work, is to sort of look at, you know, how to make sure that, because even you said yourself you wasn't sure about me because you'd seen my social media feeds, and it
Yeah.
wasn't really what you were looking for. Yet when you dug under the layer, then you could see that actually I do brand photography. I do work with people like yourself, and
thank God I did look a bit deeper, because I've got what I've
yeah,
got, and it's just exactly what I wanted. I just wanted to
yeah,
touch on that point about you going into photography, and I talk a
yeah,
lot to my burnt out mums about self-care, and
mm,
it doesn't matter what it looks like. What self-care to one person is not to another, and vice versa.
yeah,
And for me, I'd get frustrated with doing photography. That would drive me mad, because I wouldn't be able to get the perfect shot, or it wouldn't quite look right. And I'm so OCD about stuff. But for you, it was just what you needed. It was perfect. It was perfectly right for you. And
yeah.
it's so important that you take that time for yourself, and you do have some self-care. For me, sometimes it's ironing and sometimes it's going for a walk with the dog, but actually
100%.
yeah, it's so important to have that self-care, and for you it was photography, so that's
Definitely.
amazing.
Definitely, photography for me is fundamental. I don't ever see myself ever not picking up a camera, even when I decide to, I've had enough and I want to retire from it, or anything like that. I will still be a photographer, you know, as a hobby. But you're so right about the mindfulness. I think that goes hand in hand with a lot of, you know, obviously losing a child and spending time with other people, you know, for bereavement charity Strongmen, understanding that everybody's different and everybody needs something. I like to run. You know, I'm not a gym bunny. I don't like to do
Yeah,
weights and stuff like that. And I don't run because I want to be a marathon runner or be super fit. I run because it's good for my headspace. You know,
yeah,
I've done a 5K this morning, and it sort of set me up for the day, and I can crack on with, you know, I've got a couple of meetings and bits and pieces to do later. And I think it's just really important to find that. And what I guess that's what you help people with, is to
yeah,
help people find what it is that they need to you know, get through that burnout or whatever
yeah,
struggles they.
re-energize themselves again.
Yeah, it's really important, you know, whether that's going for a massage, whether that's doing
Yeah,
a
oh, I
spa
could do
break,
one of
whether
them.
that's just going for a run, or as you say, going for a walk with the dogs. I think
Yeah,
it's just really important. I think outside for me
yes,
is a huge one. Is
yeah,
huge. Getting outside,
fresh
getting in
air.
the fresh air. It's a leveler of mental health. I think, you know, eating right, you know, don't not drinking, and you know, I drink. I like drink. I know you've given up.
Yeah,
I think I'm correct in saying.
yeah, alcohol
No, I
free.
still like a drink. But I tend to keep it to just, you know, special occasions, like I'm on holiday, birthdays, and you
Yeah,
know, like the Christmas and stuff. I don't drink anything more than that. Maybe the occasion when I go out with a few friends, but it's,
yeah,
I could go for months and months without touching a drop. And it's just understanding that, you know, eating a little bit better, but not to the point that you're giving up stuff that you.
no,
I
you
love
only
chocolate.
live once. Yeah,
Exactly. I
mine's
love
a
a dark.
chunks of cheese. Go to that fridge and I will cut chunks of cheese. Oh my God, I just, yeah, it's not good, but
You
it's
shouldn't
good.
feel guilty about it. It's about just, you know, living your life, and taking those little things. You know, going back to sort of business and photography and stuff. It's taking those little things and rewarding yourself, and don't dread having a photo shoot. It's a lot of fun, and it's about. I always tell people, you know, try and treat it as a treat. You know, it's like,
Yeah,
it's going to be fun, and I think that's kind of how we, you know, especially
yeah,
with you, that's how we approached it. It's like, we're going to this beautiful venue,
yeah,
we're going to have a lot of fun, we're going to have a laugh, we're going to do some
yeah.
silly stuff, we're going to do some serious stuff,
Hmm.
but we're going to enjoy it. It's a little treat away from the normal.
Yeah,
Oh, I've got a lot of emails to do, I've got a
yeah.
list to do, that to do,
The fun
and
side of
it
business.
helps as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
So what I want to do is, obviously it's really important that we put up your details and where people can find you. So where can people find you?
I'm on pretty much every social media platform going. I've dipped my toe into Threads, although I'm not
Oh yeah,
quite
me
sure.
too.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what to do with it yet. I've dabbled a little bit and it's interesting, but I'm pretty much the same. It's Graham Baker GBP as
Hmm.
my handle, so at Graham Baker GBP on Twitter, Facebook, all the main players.
Hmm.
But my website is the best place, grahambakerphotography.com, all one word. And the website there's lots of information on there. I've got case studies, which we'll have one very soon for working with you.
Yeah.
So you can read other people's experiences about working with me, especially around branding, personal branding and stuff like that. They're all on the website.
And what I also want to do is I'm going to
Even.
Sorry?
Yeah, no, just drop me a line, just say hi. I don't do the hard sale thing.
No.
It's, you want to work with me because of what I can help you with, not because I'm shoving something down your throat. It's a conversation. I've got people that contacted me 18 months ago, and then out of the blue I'll get an email a year later saying, oh, actually I'm ready now.
I'm ready now. Yeah.
I don't chase people up. I might chase them up to say, you were showed interest last week, what you're doing, sort of thing. That's it. I don't,
No,
you're
you're very approachable as well, aren't you? Very approachable and easy to talk to. I think you know my life story, and we've not known each other long.
Again, that boils down to having a photographer. I'm not saying to your listeners or people watching that I am the perfect photographer for everybody out there, but it's about making sure that you have that conversation. Don't just sort of look at a website and go, no, that's not for me. Actually speak to the photographer, try and understand where they're coming from, because that's exactly what happened with us. You initially thought, oh, not quite right, a bit commercial, but then after that initial conversation, you thought, well, actually, yeah. So it's really important to make sure you look at other photographers, find one that you're comfortable with. I'm a bloke, and whilst it's never happened, there may be some women that might feel that a bit more uncomfortable with a bloke. I've never had that. I've never had that as an issue. Nobody's ever said, oh, I'm not that, but you just never know. So
no, of course.
Look around, I'm not
definitely.
afraid.
And then lastly, obviously you've spoken about, you said it was the strongmen.
Strongmen charity,
yeah. And what I'm going to do is I will make sure I will put those links up for that as well, because that's so important. I know I help mums, but actually if we've got burnt out mums here that have got men in their lives that are struggling, then if I can put that link up and we can help other people, that would be amazing. And I'm sure that if they are struggling and they need to drop you a line, that you will be there to listen and to help out.
More than happy to. And just want to add something very quickly on the end of that about the Strongmen charity. It was actually, I found out about it because it was linked to the TV series SAS Who Dares Wins, where there's a couple of contestants. That's why I was, bit of TA, I was interested in that kind of stuff. But it was actually my wife that actually said, you need this, you should go on this, you should do it. And it really helps me a lot. And now I give back to them. So by sharing it with mums and their other homes, it's well worked, especially if they've had a loss. I think it's really important.
Well, we'll put those links up and I'll put that all over my social media as well. And amazing. Well, thank you ever so much for joining me, Graham. It's very much appreciated. And thank you again for the amazing photo shoot. We'll put all your links up so people can find you. Thank you ever so much for coming.
No, thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure. I love chatting to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care.